everybody, and welcome to our English live stream. Our topic of today is tourism. Perfect. Let's start right into that topic. So I will first give you a small introduction what we're going to do today, as I'm doing it every week. So I kindly ask my background trainer. Thank you, Victoria. Okay, first of all, I will give you First of all, I will give you a small definition of what tourism is. So, what is tourism? What is tourism? Then, secondly, I will talk to you, or I will tell you and define some types of tourism for you. Of tourism. Thirdly, and I will deep into three different types. And I will just tell you about the rest. Not really in detail, but about three I will give you more details. And then I will talk to you of benefits of traveling. Oh, sorry. Okay. Benefits of tourism. And last but not least, I will tell you my personal opinion about tourism. Hope you're interested in my personal opinion. But if not, that's okay. No opinion. But my personal opinion, when I talk about my personal opinion about tourism, this should be an example for you how you could talk about your personal opinion in exams or in exams about tourism. Yeah. Okay, so we'll start with a definition. So I write the heading here. Definition of tourism. Okay, it's just a small definition, so nothing really big. But what is actually tourism? That's maybe a more difficult question than it sounds. So the World Tourism Organization, I've never heard about this organization before, but it sounds interesting, defines tourists as people. So tourists as people who travel to stay at who travel to and stay in places outside their usual environment. Okay, in places outside their usual environment. Yeah. And it continues in their usual environment for more than 24 hours, so like a whole day, for more than 24 hours, and not more than 1.5 years for leisure, and not more for more than 1 year. 1 year, not 1.5. So 1 year year for leisure. Yeah. Leisure, business or other purposes. Or other purposes. So yeah, that's the definition of a tourist. You can copy this definition because I think it's very useful. Also in your A-levels, this definition could be useful, because when you like throw out a definition of tourism, your teacher will be like, wow, she or he really knows something. And this will impress him, and then you maybe get a 1. Yeah. Okay, so our next part are types of tourism. So I will just make a line here and continue here. Why doesn't it work? Okay. Types of tourism. Or I will just no. Types of tourism. So, as I already said to you, I will give you some types, or give you some types, and then I will deep into 3 of them more deeply. So, I would suggest to copy this as well. So, activity holiday is the first type. An activity holiday, where you do activities on holiday. Then the second type is adventure holiday. Adventure holiday, where you are on an adventure, which sounds really nice, I think. And then backpacking holiday. Backpacking holiday, where you travel with a backpack. I'm sure you all know what a backpack is. Then beach holiday. Beach holiday. Beach holiday is, of course, a holiday where you travel to a beach. Oh, you can't read it. Okay, now you can. So I will continue writing on the other side. Then we have camping holiday, where you camp. Okay, camping holiday. Where you're on a campsite, or where you live in a tent for a few days or weeks. Then we have city trip, which I really like. City trips are awesome. Then we have cruise, where you travel on a big cruise, or a really big boat. Then we have farm holiday, where you travel to a farm and maybe help on the farm and profit from the activities on the farm. Then party holiday, which is of course important for you guys when you have finished your A-levels. Holiday. Then we have a safari, where you travel to countries like South Africa, where you can do safaris, where you see wild animals and wild fauna. Then skiing holiday, yay! Which is very prominent in Austria, of course. And last but not least, we have spa holiday. Where you are on a wellness trip or spa trip. So I hope you can read this. Yeah, like this. So those are different types of tourism. And now I want you to comment, please. Have you already... Oh, sorry, I deleted activity holiday. So now it's So I want you to comment. Have you already had experiences with some of those holiday types before, or have you already been on a safari or party holiday, or just share your experience with the others, so you can learn from each other, and maybe you can also write some phrases about the holiday, how it was, maybe about the weather. So it's just some general facts about your holidays would be nice, and I'm really looking forward to reading them. So now we make another line, and maybe you have already recognized that I haven't mentioned 3 very important holiday types, and I will, as I already said in the introduction, I will now deep into those 3 more deeply. So we will now talk about mass tourism, or I will talk to you about mass tourism, or I will open a new one. So mass tourism. Mass tourism is also called mass tourism or over tourism. I don't know why over tourism with a hyphen, but maybe because it's too much, so it goes over the normal. Yeah, it goes over. Yeah, it's maybe too much, so it's called over tourism, but I don't know really why. So mass tourism or over tourism could only have developed with the improvements of technology. So thanks. So no, I will write could only have developed with the improvement of in technology. In technology. And so mass tourism, because of our technology, allows mass tourism to transport a large number of people, or technology because it developed so well. So I will make a point here. Allows the transport of large numbers of people. Yeah. Those people are traveling because of their leisure interests. So large numbers of people. Of leisure interest. I just write of leisure interest, but you know what I mean with leisure interest. Okay, so another fact about mass tourism is that too many people want to visit the same places. So this leads to crowds or to mass of people in front of one site. So for example, when you visit Barcelona, the ones of you who have already been to Barcelona know that this is, when you visit the Sagrada Familia, you won't be the only person who visits the Sagrada Familia, but you will be a person under 1 million. So maybe I'm exaggerating, but yeah, there are a lot of people there. So another point of mass tourism is too many people want to visit the same places. Yeah, same places. And those places or those locations are called honeypot locations. Honeypot locations. And they are called honeypot locations because honeypot is Honigtopf or Honigtopf, and I don't know really where the term comes from, but yeah, maybe honeypot because I really don't have any clue. And also those people cause of course they cause problems. So they cause problems such as littering. So problems such as littering, then congestion on roads, then lack of parking facilities, then footpath erosion, and of course tourist vandalism. Yeah, so I will explain this term to you. Tourist vandalism. So tourist vandalism, or do you all know what vandalism is? Oh, you can't read it. That's, yeah, maybe no, it's better. Okay. So vandalism is vandalismus, which means when tourists destroy something, or when tourists destroy something, also kaputt machen, Vandalismus. And for example, I'm sure you all know Stonehenge in Salisbury, I think, in England. And there you can't go to Stonehenge, but you can see it from a certain distance because tourists destroyed parts of the monument, so that they had to build a fence around the monument to save it, because maybe if the fence wouldn't be there, we wouldn't have Stonehenge anymore. So that's really a big effect of mass tourism, and a really an effect which a really, really negative effect of mass tourism, of course. That's about mass tourism. And now we will move on with a different type of tourism, which is really the opposite nearly. So I hope you copied this one, because I'm now switching to another slide. We will now talk about ecotourism. Ecotourism. So ecotourism is also called sustainable tourism. Sustainable, tourism. And keep an eye of ecotourism, because it's written together. So eco and tourism is written as one word, and sustainable tourism is written in two words. So I mean, because you're preparing for your oral exam, so this is not really very important to you, but I think you should also keep this in mind, because some of you should also take the written English A level. So yeah, that may be that may be interesting to you. Ecotourism or sustainable tourism is traveling to destinations where flora, fauna, and the cultural heritage are the primary attractions. Okay, so flora, fauna, and the cultural heritage are the primary attractions. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. And the key aim by ecologists and nature lovers is, of course, to become an increasingly popular option for many tourists. So that many tourists also try out this ecological form of tourism. That's the aim, of course, of sustainable tourism. And now I have prepared some do's and don'ts for ecotourists for you. Because when you want to be an ecotourist, it's not very easy to become one. So I have prepared some do's and don'ts which you should consider when you want to travel ecologically. So first of all, you should protect the environment, of course. Protect the environment. So you shouldn't leave litter or on the path or in the nature, and you should follow food paths and shouldn't just walk right into the nature and go wherever you want. And secondly, don't interfere with wildlife. And this should mean that you shouldn't disturb the wildlife, or you shouldn't disturb animals. You should leave them alone and don't scare them, of course. And our third point is that you should use resources economically. Okay, so use economically. Which means you should save water and don't use air conditioning. But this is not only important when it comes to tourism. This is also important in your everyday life. So you should also keep this in mind, or this point in mind, when you in your everyday life. So you should also, when you hike when you hike in your mountains, then you should also not scare the animals, or you should keep to footpaths and so on. So this is very important. And fourth, eat local food and drinks. Local food and drinks. But I think this is not only an aim of ecotourism, this is also maybe the overall aim of tourism, because when you travel to another country, you should maybe try out some new things and some new food. And it's not only, when you travel somewhere, this is also about traveling to drink or to taste local food and to profit from the local and from the cultural benefits of a country. And for fifth, our fifth point is support local communities. Local. And this means stay in locally owned accommodation. Maybe don't, when you travel to, I don't know, Sweden, then you should maybe try out a bed and breakfast by a local person, and not to go into the Hilton, or I don't know, because the Hilton is everywhere. And sixth point is respect local customs and traditions. Oops. Respect local and traditions. But this is also very important, of course, but I think those points are not only important when you want to travel ecologically, but those are also important when you want to travel. So always keep those 6 points in mind when you travel, because I think that's not only about ecological tourism, but ecotourism, but also about traveling itself. Yes. Perfect. Now we come to our third part, or our third, chapter, or our third, our third type of tourism, which is extreme tourism, which is very interesting, I think. So, extreme tourism. Or it's also called shock or dark tourism. Shock tourism, or dark tourism. And I give you always a few names, because I think those are very important for your A level, because when your teacher sees that you are able to communicate or to have some synonyms, he may be very impressed. So yeah, maybe keep them in mind. So when it comes to extreme tourism, you travel to extreme or dangerous places. So extreme tourism is about traveling to extreme or dangerous. Dangerous places. Okay. But it could also be the participation in extreme or in dangerous events. So participation in dangerous events. And in dangerous events, yeah. And extreme tourism, shock tourism, or dark tourism is sometimes connected with sports or extreme sports such as rafting, canyoning, base jumping, skydiving, or speed riding. Oh my god, I've never done speed riding, most of them I've never done before, but speed riding, what's speed riding? Some of you know what speed riding is. Maybe some of you have already tried it out, and you could comment if you liked it. This would be interesting. Okay, then another fact about dark tourism is, of course, visiting dangerous places. Whoops. So visiting, and then I will give you some examples. Dangerous places, such as war countries, like example Somalia or Iraq. How do you say it in English? Iraq. I'd say yes. Okay, then or Afghanistan. Or of course, visiting dangerous places, or visiting places which were devastated by natural disasters like earthquakes or hurricanes or tsunamis, or man-made disasters like nuclear catastrophes. Yeah. So visiting areas devastated by natural disasters. Or I will write into brackets. Okay, that's not an E. Example. I just write earthquakes. And for example, in Haiti, there have been earthquakes or hurricanes. In Orleans or in the United States have been hurricanes or tsunamis. I don't know how to say it in English. Like in Indonesia, or volcanic eruptions like Iceland, or man-made disasters like nuclear catastrophes. This, I think, is really dangerous, because when you visit, for example, Chernobyl, it's also very dangerous for you. So I mean, like base jumping or canyoning, that's dangerous, of course, but it's only dangerous in the moment you do it. But nuclear catastrophe locations like Chernobyl are always dangerous. So you visit Chernobyl, and that's already dangerous, and then you may suffer from your visit a few years ago, because you just wanted to go there. That's, I don't know, something I don't understand. But maybe some of you have already visited Chernobyl or 3 Mile Island in the States, or Fukushima in Japan. So tell me about it. How was it for you, and is it still dangerous? I think it's dangerous, because I can't imagine it's not being dangerous. But yeah, never mind. Catastrophe. Okay. Or also historic war sites. But because my notes suggest me that I also write down historic war sites in extreme tourism, but I don't really think that historic war sites also belong to dark tourism, because when you, for example, visit Auschwitz or Mauthausen, that's not really dark tourism. That's also a historical or cultural heritage of a country. So what do you think, Victoria? Does it belong to dark tourism to visit Auschwitz, or?
Not really. I think it's more of a, historical trip, or, rather cultural. Not really cultural, because it was actually a very bad thing, but
Yes.
more like historical.
Mhm.
Yeah, we do.
Okay. So maybe some of you have another opinion. So tell us about it. What do you think? Are historic war sites really, or do they really belong to dark tourism, or do they either belong to historic tourism or maybe also cultural tourism? But well, yeah, in a broader way or broader sense speaking. So now we have some, I will talk to you about some benefits of traveling as we have finished our 3 types. So I made a list with some benefits, but we won't talk about this now. I will give you some time to think about it, and I want you to look for some ideas or what do you think are benefits of tourism or of traveling. And I'm sure all of you have already traveled before, so maybe more in the middle. Maybe just think about it and collect some ideas, and later on I will give you mine, and then you can compare them, but there's no right or wrong, so it's just a suggestion from me. So I will just skip this point for now. I will come to it. I will come back to it later. And now I will tell you about my personal opinion about traveling, or about my personal opinion about tourism. Thank you. Okay. I won't write this down, but you can if you want. So I really like traveling, and I grew up with traveling because my parents visited foreign countries with me very early when I was in kindergarten. We already went to Southeast Asia and so on. So I really grew up with traveling. But as I said, I like traveling, but I don't like extreme traveling. So I don't like to travel for 3 months in a year, because I don't have so much time and I don't have so much money. And I also think when I want to make a bigger journey, then I want to have more time in a certain location or destination. So, and I want to prepare myself for traveling. So when I travel to a country, I first read some books about the country, or about the or about the history of the country, and some historical facts, and maybe about the most important people, or about the most famous people of the world, of this country. So I really like to inform myself about the country where I'm traveling to. I was in Barcelona, I think it's called in English, Barcelona, this year in July, and I really liked the city because it was it's Spain, so, or it's a southern city, and it's very nice and with warm weather, and you have of course the beach and the sea there. And the buildings are beautiful in the city, so I can really, I really like the city. But the thing I didn't like there were the mass of tourists. So I couldn't really visit a heritage or site where there were just a few tourists, and I found this a bit sad, because when I visit, I'm also a tourist, but in Barcelona there were so many tourists that it was too much for me, and I stayed there 5 days. And I would recommend to you that when you visit Barcelona, you should also stay there 3 days, except if you really like mass tourism, or if you like many people. I don't know, but it was a bit too much for me. And I also went this year. I also went to Stockholm, in September, at the end of September, and it was so nice because it was more calm and there weren't so many tourists. We didn't have to wait when we wanted to visit a museum or when we wanted to do a boats tour, which was really, I don't know, it was a very, very big contrast to Barcelona. So I'd say I preferred Stockholm because of the tourists, of course. But both cities are very nice, and yeah, that's it. What I don't like when I travel, I'd say it like that. I prefer city trips, or what other types do we have? I prefer adventure holidays or backpacking holidays or activity holidays rather than beach holidays, because, I like the beach for an hour, but I don't like the beach for even a day at the beach is sometimes too much for me. I don't like the sand at the beach because it's everywhere. When you really, after a day at the beach, the sand is everywhere on your body, and that's so disgusting, I think. And I think it's also very boring. So a week at the beach or a week beach holidays would definitely be too much for me. So I don't know, I don't really, that's not really the part or the type of tourism I prefer. And I also don't like, or I wouldn't never do a safari, because it's, I think, because when you do a safari, you really go to places where there's wildlife and where there are wild animals, and I think you disturb them when you go there, and you disturb also the landscape or the life of them, and you don't respect them that much. So I prefer staying, or I don't know, I don't prefer, or I don't like, or I would never do a safari, because I think it's not, that's also not something I like, or I think I like, because I've never done it before. But and a good example maybe for when tourism destroys heritage is Ecuador, I think, because the animal life, or many animals and the flora and the fauna of the country have already been largely devastated by tourists. So I would never travel there, even if I would. I'm interested in visiting it, but I wouldn't travel there, because I think that's respectless. For me, it's respectless. If other people do it, just do it. Okay, I now gave you, I think, about 10 minutes, or at least 10 minutes, to collect some benefits of traveling. So I have also written down something. I don't know if there are any comments on benefits of traveling, or no. Okay. So that's also fine. You can just keep your notes by yourself, and I will now move on with the benefits. Thank you. So, benefits of tourism, or of traveling. Traveling is maybe better. Okay. So I have written down, when you travel, you get to know a new culture. So, get to know a new culture. Then I have also written down get to know a new country. Know a new country when you travel, or when you when you travel. And another term with get to know, but get to know a new language. New. I think it's very, or for me it's very important to speak at least some phrases of the language of the country you travel to. I had some Spanish lessons, so I had 3 years of Spanish actually in school, and when I was in Barcelona I tried to speak Spanish and my Spanish was so bad, but I continued speaking in Spanish because I think that's also something of respect. And when the people or when the Spanish people see that you are trying to speak their language, they are maybe more kindly to help you, or more that's, I think they also show you more respect then. So that's important. But I mean, if you travel to Asia, that's, I mean, that's maybe more difficult, and because it's Asian languages are more like tone languages, and then it's more difficult to speak them. Okay, then another benefit is to meet new people. So meet, not met. Meet new people. When you travel, you meet new people and you make new friends. I always delete something when I'm writing, but that wasn't the purpose. That was for purpose. And then you of course learn about the history, culture, about the country you are traveling to. So learn about the history, culture, and there I just write ... because you can add anything you like about a country authentically. Kelly. Okay. And my last point, of course, there are many more, but my last point, traveling broadens your mind. Broad, or I will write traveling. Broadens. With an exclamation mark. Ooh. That's important. Oh, you can't read it. Now you can. Yes. Of course you can. I hope you can. Yeah, you can. So those are the benefits I found. But if you have any other suggestions, I am of course open to hear them. And yeah, if you like, you can of course comment them. And I would. I'm really looking forward to hear your traveling diaries, or you can just make a small traveling diary out of the comment section, and talk about your traveling or tourism experiences. And I'm very looking forward to it, to read them. So we will see each other next week, or Victoria will guide the live stream. I can't read talk anymore. So she will guide the live stream next week, and I will be her background trainer, as she's for me today. And yeah, thanks for listening and watching. I hope you learned something, and see you. Bye.